This radio show is a paid placement. Welcome to Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes. I'm Mark Elliott. Glad you're with us. Mindy McIntosh, of course, the president and founder of McIntosh & Associates. Husband Nolan is here to help you with all your market investments, and they really team together because you think about retirement, income strategies, investment strategies, healthcare, long-term care, tax-efficient strategies. Then what about legacy and estate planning, Social Security, Medicare? There's a lot of moving parts. The team at McIntosh & Associates are here to help you, and you can always go to the website to learn more, wealthmichigan.com. That's wealthmichigan.com, and you can call them anytime. And here's the deal. They are going to help you if they can. They don't know if they can or not, right? That's the idea. They're here to help you, Medicare, all kinds of moving parts. The number is 877-222-8849. We will give you that number throughout the program, but there is no cost for this. They will help if they can. They would love to help. They just don't know if they can until they hear from you. 877-222-8849. 877-222-8849. Guys, welcome to the program. We're going to talk a little inflation, interest rates. We're going to talk a little Medicare today on the program. A lot going on. Mindy, Nolan, how are you? You guys ready to go?
We are. Yeah, this is great. We're full swing of fall now, and soccer and football, and it's great. Great time. All
right. We're going to talk a little bit about Jerome Powell. Jerome Powell, the Fed chair, right? The Federal Reserve has raised interest rates 5 times this year. 0.25% in March, 0.5% in May, 0.75% June, July, and September. And the Federal Reserve will meet again in November and then once more in December. Probably going to move interest rates up as well in that situation. But here's Jerome Powell talking about what the Fed is trying to do.
It would be nice if there were a way to just wish it away, but there isn't. We have to get supply and demand back into alignment, and the way we do that is by slowing the economy. Hopefully, we do that by slowing the economy, and we see some softening in labor market conditions, and we see a big contribution from supply side, improvements and things like that, but none of that is guaranteed.
And Mindy, really, Jerome Powell, it's kind of the way the Fed has always tried to handle inflation is that they raise interest rates. Is that the only option they have? Because it's certainly the one they always go to, the playbook they go to. And inflation is still going high, so they're going to probably, raise interest rates the next couple times in the meetings.
Yeah, the trouble is, as they raise interest rates, it's just this domino-like effect of everything else that seems to happen. So interest rates rise. You see, folks that and families that we're meeting with on a daily basis talk about just even the cost of goods and services and, even what you're seeing for fuel prices again and, all the different things that you see with the tweets and posts and updates. And, there's just so much that we have to look into as we talk about not only just inflation, but what's happening then on the healthcare piece of the puzzle, right? So what's happening as you see medical costs, prescription drug costs, what happens when we see, current tax laws sunset. And we really have to make sure that we're factoring in with all of our families, the times that we're in currently, but also seeing we've been here before and how do we make sure that we're adjusting and working alongside of folks to help head what's exactly happening today. And if you're worried about that and some folks feel kind of paralyzed, like, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? Just earlier this week, we had a family in that was so worried about inflation a year ago. And this was a year ago, not today where we're at. And they talked about how comfortable and much more confident they feel today, just in the journey and some updates and holistic plan designs that we've done. Even on the Medicare chassis, they were so worried about, gosh, how am I going to retire and pay for this when costs are going up with everything else? And now, they look back today and, a year in reflection and things have been very, cost effective for them, at least in the plan that we've laid out. So if you are worried about that, concerned, or even just wondering, hey, I don't have a plan, I don't understand what all this means with inflation and what's happening when, we watch the news and even as we take a look at job marketing, housing market, please reach out to us here at the office at 877-222-8849 or visit us at Wealth Michigan on the web. We'd love to talk to you.
That's Mindy McIntosh. I'm Mark Elliott. Nolan McIntosh with us as well as we discuss a little bit about the inflation challenge that the Federal Reserve is trying to certainly battle by raising interest rates. Nolan, here's another comment from Jerome Powell, the Fed chair.
The real point is this. What we hear from people when we meet with them is that they really are suffering from inflation. If we want to set ourselves up light the way to another period of a very strong labor market, we have got to get inflation behind us. I wish there were a painless way to do that. There isn't.
And it's really kind of the theme, I think. It's not going to be painless, and Jerome Powell said that. I mean, go back to last year when he said this is transitory. Going to be pretty well. He missed the boat on that one. But, I mean, it's kind of the playbook. When inflation goes up, you raise the interest rates hoping to slow everything down. But that does cause some challenges for people, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the issue, right? I mean, we can argue what they should have done back then, which we agree that something should have been done from an interest rate perspective. So now we're kind of in this scenario to where they've been raising rates this entire year, and yet inflation just is hanging on. And it's twofold, right? And this is why it's painful, is because we've given out money, tax-free stimulus money, and didn't expect people to spend it. Well, they're going to. And so that's why we have a hot economy. And I think there's a misconception here that we want an economy that is thriving. That's not what we're saying. We do want some inflation. We want businesses to be profitable. We want people to have inflation so that way they get cost of living adjustments in their pay. The problem is, obviously, when it's too hot, then this is where it starts affecting the families, because they don't know, maybe where they're going to pay for their next food bill or things of that nature, because their wages have not seemed to increase as much as the inflationary rate has. So that's a concern, and we don't, I think that, there's some rumors about how the government's trying to do some soft landing on the economy and try and get this under control. I don't think that happens. Just my personal opinion. I think that how interest rates are going to continue to rise, they'll not only continue to rise through this year, but I think they continue to rise through next year. Jerome Powell actually said it when he had the last meeting, that he thought unemployment may go up to 5.3% by next year. Well, that's a bad number, right? Because we're sitting in the threes. So, and so our point to that is not to put fear into people. It is to put into place that there needs to be a plan. If there's not a plan for income to hedge inflation, not just today, but in future years, if there's not a plan for taxation, your retirement could look significantly different today than it does tomorrow, because of all these things that are going to be changing. So that's why Mindy and I think it's so important that we meet with our clients and say, hey, this is not abnormal. We've seen inflation in the past. This is obviously something we have to get through, but where can we go forward, right? So instead of looking reverse, let's go forward and see how we can look at an income plan for you to make sure we hedge this inflation. How do we look at, healthcare costs in the future? How do we look at taxes in the future? If we can get some more control into your world, that makes it a lot more different. So 877-222-8849 is the best number to reach us at. And like I said, start getting something done.
And, of course, you can always go to the website to learn more, wealthmichigan.com. And, Mindy, you think about it. If we all decided to base our retirement on what Washington and Wall Street was doing, then we wouldn't have a whole lot of control over our retirement. You and your team at McIntosh Associates have to pay attention to that. But, I mean, if the markets are down, I can't retire. If the inflation is rising, I can't retire. I mean, I think Nolan hit the nail right on the head. It's about planning, because you don't go, well, the market's really bad, so you can't retire for another 5 years. I mean, that's not how it works, is it, retirement?
It doesn't. And so it's so important, like if you're listening and you feel like you want to retire, even if it's 5 years down the road, it's really nice to have a plan, right? So folks come in and they say, gosh, what do retirees actually need to know? And what should I need to know if I'm going to retire in a recession-like time? What do we need to do? Well, we should have already been making sure to have the retirement that they're hoping and dreaming about. We need to look at and kind of unpeel, peel that orange back, right? And look at the risks that are imposing on them in retirement and look future down the road. So we look at economy, we look at inflation, we look at tax increases and healthcare. So the options that they need is look at how are we going to go from accumulation to distribution when you retire, accumulating, earning income. Now you go to distribution phase. How have you been saving to create the income that you're going to need in retirement that can be done so securely? There's things that we can do ahead of time while you're still working. We can do in-service distributions. We need to make sure also, how is your debt load looking? Is there any credit card debt you have? Do you have an emergency fund? And by the way, is your expenses or budget under control, or are you just spending and not really sure where it's coming and going from and just seeing, okay, I have money left over at the end of the month, or, oh, it's not too bad, I put a few things on a credit card. So I think that as we walk through that, having and setting a solid income plan in retirement that bundles well with what you're going to need to do for healthcare and your goals and your, fun with the family and grandchildren. Let's make sure that we're focusing on that plan, and having a plan is what really can, you almost look forward to then plan backwards into the timeline, so that even if you're retiring, let's say this year, there's not a problem. Yes, you might not exactly like, exactly what's happening in your market account, but because everything is securely in a well-diversified platform, you can still go ahead and move forward with your plans, because time is precious. And if you're listening, please reach out to us here at 877-222-8849. We'd be happy to sit down with a visit with you and get you on the right track or hear your goals.
As Mindy said, the number is 877-222-8849. There is no cost, there's no obligation, there's no pressure. The team is here to help if they can. They don't know if they can until you reach out. They'd love to help. 877-222-8849. All right, we got more with Mindy and Nolan. This is Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes, back right after this.
According to the U.S. debt clock, in the time you hear this commercial, our nation's debt will go up by $1.5 million. That's $2 billion a day, $15 billion a week. Right now, our debt is more than $30 trillion and climbing fast. The question is, how do we pay it off? The answer is increasing taxes. Now, think about your retirement accounts. Do you want to pay taxes on some of that money now, when rates are historically low, or later, when rates are potentially higher? Whether you should pay taxes now or in retirement depends on a lot of things. Mindy and Nolan McIntosh and the team at McIntosh & Associates know what to look for. Mindy and Nolan can help you create a plan so your retirement is as tax efficient as possible. Call 877-222-8849 to set up a visit with Mindy and Nolan McIntosh and McIntosh & Associates. That's 877-222-8849. Firm offers insurance services and may not give tax advice. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Get started today to develop your own dream-focused wealth plan with the team at McIntosh & Associates. Schedule a complimentary first visit today. Call 877-222-8849.
Welcome back to Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes, Mindy and Nolan. I'm Mark Elliott. Glad you're with us. You can always go to the website to learn more about the team at McIntosh & Associates. It is wealthmichigan.com, wealthmichigan.com. Any questions? Hey, Mindy, Nolan, can I retire? Well, when can I retire? Well, my money lasts as long as I do. Will my loved ones be okay if something happens to me? Really, at the end of the day, you just want to know, if we retire, will we be okay? That's really what you want to know. And so the team at McIntosh Associates here to help. That's what their whole thing is, helping you create your dream-focused wealth plan. Income, investment, taxes, healthcare, legacy planning, Social Security, Medicare, a lot of moving parts. The number is 877-222-8849, 877-222-8849. I'm Mark Elliott. Glad you're with us. Well, Mindy, right in your wheelhouse. The next two segments, we're talking Medicare. First, before we get into Medicare, open enrollment is always between October 15th through December 7th every year, and it's the annual election period. What got you into Medicare? Because you really like helping people with Medicare. You're overly excited. Seem to be. So what's with Medicare, Mindy?
Well, as we take a look, if I rewind and just make it a quick recap, when I was just a kid down our dirt road pedaling my bike to my aunt's and got to see my aunt and uncle take care of my aunt's father-in-law, and he was failing medically and signs of dementia and such. And I just felt like all the phone calls that they made and the help they were trying to get with both long-term care and Medicare, it just was frustrating. It seemed like a pathway that every answer was different. And so rewinding to that point, it just made me think, gosh, there's got to be better solutions to help folks as things get confusing, right? So fast forward through college. Yes, I am a diehard Sparty fan. Started doing individual healthcare back in 2002. And so many folks wanted help from me, not only that were self-employed needing to buy their own health insurance for their small business, but then as they were aging into Medicare and folks looking to retire. And, in my opinion, with us, helping the folks on their Medicare plan, it's kind of that chassis where we're working and helping solve puzzles for folks for their healthcare and their wealth care dream. It all ties together, whether we're looking at the cost and affordability of Medicare plans to the questions that folks have, to being able to sit across the table from them, explain their options to them, walk through with them, hey, what is important to you for copays and out-of-pocket costs? And then what's your dream? Are you going to be traveling with this? And, well, where's income at? So it's important to know what is a portion of your Medicare going to cost you, which is their Medicare Part B. And so because it all pieces so well together, not being educated well enough in one area can actually hurt your retirees in another. So if you're Medicare eligible or Medicare age and you have questions about your group health care, maybe it's an individual Medicare plan you have or something that you're looking to do with regards to traveling, moving, prescription coverage, please reach out to us here at wealthmichigan.com or at 877-222-8849. And we'd be happy to sit with you families and walk through how comfortable and easy these ABCs can be when it's put in the, appropriate format.
Very good. Very good, Mindy. And that makes sense, though, that you had a personal reason that kind of got you into going, boy, this should be an easier process than what it is for my relatives. So, and I think a lot of advisors kind of get into that because of something that's happened in the past. Medicare is interesting. There's no question. There's a lot of parts to it. And we're going to get into some of the can and can't do during this open enrollment period, Nolan, but what are some of the reasons? My mom's 85. I mean, does she need to go check her Medicare coverages to see if things have changed? Or why do we do this? Why is this open election? Because I think Medicare, and Mindy, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Medicare supplements, which are the same as Medigaps, those you can change 365 days a year. This open enrollment is basically Advantage plans and drug plans, but if you're going supplement to Advantage plan, I think. What do you think, Nolan?
Yes.
Am I on board?
Yeah, so Mindy was already going to answer the question. I think you already got onto it, that you can do those elections. And the reason why I want to look at that is because people's health changes. I mean, that's the biggest thing, is that throughout the year, something might change where the plan you were on, the Advantage plan, wasn't necessarily the best, or maybe there's a prescription in there that changed that's now, in a different tier that, Mindy can look at and say, okay, this is a better option for drug coverage. Or, maybe from a traveling standpoint, you need something that's more portable. So that's why it's so important that we look at it from year to year, because sometimes, premium changes, or sometimes doctors go out of network, or sometimes, maybe you wanted dental and vision coverage in there that you didn't have prior. So that's why it's so important that we meet with our clients and say, hey, this is where we're at. Oh, nope. And some people don't realize this, that this year, Mindy's been telling clients that there's some added benefits that weren't in there that people don't realize. So there may be things that we keep you on the same plan, but there might be some different benefits that you didn't know you were aware of. So that's why we like to meet with our clients every year. And secondarily is obviously if we're doing a holistic approach, we want to make sure that if we're looking at taxation and things of that nature, that we're not going into maybe what's called that Medicare tax and IRMA, if we're doing some tax planning, because that could affect that. So we want to make sure there's no surprises if we do some of those, tax plans that these clients are like, well, why did my premium go up so much? Well, remember, we did it because, we know taxes are going to go up significantly, and we thought it was worth it, to pay a little bit more premium now than to pay the taxes later type of thing. So that's why we always adjust and look at things and make sure there's no surprises either on the tax end or on the Medicare end, so that way we can serve our clients the best. So 877-222-8849, best number to get a hold of us during this open enrollment season.
Yeah, so again, open enrollment for Medicare, October 15th through December 7th. It's the same dates all the time, so that's good, easy to remember. But there's a lot of, there's just a lot of paperwork with Medicare, and there's so many different areas of it. I mean, even though there's the Part A, B, C, D, and all of that, and then you get into the letters with the supplement plans. So, Mindy, touch on a little bit of what we can and what we cannot do during this open election period.
So a few things that you can do is from October 15th through December 7th is the timeline that you can review. So after October 1st, you started receiving an annual notice of change if you're already currently on Medicare, or maybe you're looking to retire and, have Medicare for the first time. So it depends on what segment that you're in. But let's say that you're currently already Medicare eligible, you have a Medicare plan. You are most certainly going to want to review your drug formularies, the updates to your plan changes. Maybe you're in a plan that didn't need referrals prior and now you're going to need referrals. Your drug tiers could have changed. So what you can do is you can review your plan. You can make changes from Plan C, which is Medicare Advantage, to any other Medicare Advantage plan during this window of opportunity. You can change your Part D prescription drug card with no evidence of, insurability, no evidence of, health status for the Advantage C plans or the prescription drug plans. We can walk through that, make updates and changes to be effective January 1st, 2023. You also have the opportunity to review your Medicare Supplement or Medigap plan. You'll see that, those Medigap plans on the Part B deductible has actually gone down. So that will be $226 for next year. So just reviewing rates and plan details. Was it the first time that you've started a supplement? Did you receive an increase? How have those been working? Do you want to switch to an Advantage plan or stay in your Medigap and review your drug card? Other opportunities are maybe you had a C Advantage plan and it was your first trial year to have it. And you're thinking, gosh, you know what? I want to go back to original Medicare and pick up a Medigap plan. Now is the time we can do that as well. So if this is you and you're wondering about updates to any of those items and how do you review those, we'd be happy to visit with you. Now is the time. You can reach our office at 877-222-8849. And it's very important to walk through these kind of ABCs of the when, whys, and hows. And maybe you're on the other side of the coin. You don't have Medicare yet. You're either turning 65 or you're beyond that age and you've currently still working and looking to retire. So that timeline looks a little bit differently in how we actually apply for Medicare and move forward with plans from that aspect. So reach out to us here at wealthmichigan.com. We'd love to visit with you and your families and walk through that together.
So again, that's 877-222-8849, 877-222-8849. All right, Nolan, we probably had to go back a little bit. Why don't you maybe quickly, we got a couple minutes left in this segment, and then we'll talk more about Medicare and open enrollment in the next segment. Maybe you can go walk us through the different parts of Medicare, the A, B. There's so many letters, Nolan. I need guidance here.
You have your governmental Part A, and then you have your supplement on the Part B, and then your C is going to be obviously the drug coverage, and then you can bundle those all together. Or say Part D, I'm sorry, is your drug coverage, but then you can bundle those all together. Mindy loves it. Sometimes it gets really confusing, and that's why Mindy calls it the ABCs of Medicare. There's a really nice PowerPoint presentation that we show our clients when they come in to weed through. We make something that's complicated simple. I think that's the biggest thing, is that we can talk about this on the radio as much as we want to about all these letters and what covers what, but it still doesn't make sense until you visually see it. So we love to be able to show that to people when they come in with a PowerPoint presentation that Mindy shows them. Okay, this is what Part A, B, C, D, N, G, F, right? This is what these all cover. And then based on what that client needs, this is why we're picking this, because of what you need type of thing. So it's really nice for them to come in, see it visually, sit down, gives them a lot more confidence about their plan and what it's going to cover. Also, Mindy always gives them a handout when they go home and highlights, okay, this is what your plan details are, so they don't have to weed through all this information that they get in this packet. She hands them a pamphlet and highlights the high benefits of what they're receiving with that plan that they're picking. So I think the best thing for anybody listening to the radio, instead of weeding through all of the information you're getting, instead of weeding through, trying to figure it out on your own, a lot of people don't realize that we don't, as an agency, get paid. You don't pay more of a premium because an agent is taking over for you. The insurance companies are what pay us to pick your Medicare plans, and so therefore it does not cost anything extra for you to come and use our services to make sure that you're in the best plan. So 877-222-8849, get that set up because open enrollment's here, and like I said, time is ticking.
Yeah, and that's a really great point, is that you're not going to pay extra to actually get somebody that actually understands it to help you. That's a great thing. 877-222-8849. Nolan really didn't want to say it, so I'll say it for you. Here you go. Part A, hospital. Part B, doctor. Part C, Medicare Advantage. Part D, prescription drugs. Then you get into more letters with the supplement plan. We're going to talk more about this with Mindy and Nolan when we come back. This is Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes. Stay with us. Back right after this.
If you're close to retirement, you probably hear about Medicare all the time. When to sign up, how to sign up, what your options are. But have you heard how you might be able to lower your future Medicare costs with proper planning before you retire? It's true. The McIntosh and Associates team can show you how. It's not for everyone, but you could potentially save in future Medicare premiums. See if this strategy could work for you. Call McIntosh and Associates now to set up your visit to start working on your plan. 877-222-8849. That's 877-222-8849. If you want to pay the lowest price for your future Medicare coverage, start planning today. Set up your visit now with the McIntosh and Associates team. Call 877-222-8849. Firm offers insurance services and is not affiliated with the U.S. government. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Medicare open enrollment is going on now through December 7th. If you want to explore your options, call the team at McIntosh and Associates, 877-222-8849.
Glad you're with us today for Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes. I'm Mark Elliott. Mindy McIntosh, the founder and president of McIntosh and Associates. She got her husband Nolan to join the team after he was helping folks be in better shape. As an athletic trainer, he's got a doctorate in physical therapy. So if you don't feel real good, you're a little sore, Nolan probably give you a little workout plan to help you out there as well as help you with your market and your retirement plan. It's the Dream Focused Wealth Plan is how Mindy and Nolan and the teams have set this up at McIntosh and Associates to help you with your retirement. You have a discovery meeting. Then you analyze where we are. What can we do? Then there's a solution that the team at McIntosh and Associates comes up with. And if you like all of that, then they implement the plan. Well, that's not the end of it. It's not like they say, hey, good luck. You've got your Dream Focused Wealth Plan. I hope it all works out. No, there's always updates because things happen in our lives all the time. So the plan is always kind of growing and is really flexible. It moves with you. If you'd like to learn more, 877-222-8849, 877-222-8849. We're talking Medicare today because open enrollment is coming, October 15th through December 7th. It's the same dates every single year, which makes it kind of easy to remember, I would think. But, Mindy, there are so many moving parts in Medicare and really in retirement today. So I guess maybe touch a little bit on how you and your office at McIntosh & Associates help folks with healthcare and retirement.
So I think one of the biggest ways we're helping folks with the healthcare and retirement is a few fold. Number one, understanding costs. Costs are between monthly premium, out-of-pocket copays, what types of plans and different styles of plan designs of being portable, referrals, traveling. Do they have a lot of current usage, and are they on a lot of medications versus do they have very little? And how is their personal demeanor? Would they rather be in a system that's more of a very low cost monthly, pay as you go? Or would they be more comfortable paying maybe a higher rate to ensure and know that when it comes to actually claims or the unexpected, their costs are very, very low? So these are all things that we are looking at. And, even from time to time, we'll have folks that call in that have been in some of our investment clients and they say, hey, you know what? I need a couple $1,000s. I'm getting a bridge work done. I'm getting a crown. I'm getting a cap. And so sometimes then we talk about, do we want to use financial assets to pay for some of those? Or do we want to have kind of some fringe benefits built into their plan to help cover some of the costs of dental? Because dental benefits aren't all that expensive, but it surely is expensive when you need some things done to your teeth, which come up very sporadically. And, same with hearing. Sometimes you can plan ahead. Gosh, you know what? My husband or my wife really needs to get to a hearing specialist, and hearing aids might be on the front of that. So we need to look at that. We also need to take a look at their flexibility, right? Are they happy with their current physicians, or has their physician retired? Have they relocated? Some folks that might be receiving coverage that live in assisted living, they do change their primary care relatively frequently. So we might need a larger network plan to ensure that as doctors change, there's not a trouble for them. So, we just want to make sure that they have the opportunity and the know of, look at, this is what we're looking at in costs. This is what happens with reimbursements, policy coverages, what aren't covered. And we walk through all of this. I'm very visual, so I like folks to sit down with me. We go through a nice little map of the ands and ors, and we kind of draw a line of deciding what is the most important to you, where are we starting? And then when there's questions or claims or coverage changes, they can rely on McIntosh and Associates and our team here at Wealth Michigan to walk through what those changes are. So please either look at our website for upcoming Medicare events. We're doing a variety of lunch and learns locally here at Baines. We also have a PowerPoint webinar virtual that you can watch from the comfort of your own home, and then schedule a visit with myself or the team here by reaching out to 877-222-8849. 8849. The time is now, as we were in this open enrollment season, to make sure that you are really ensuring that you have the best plan for your health care.
So there's a lot of moving parts here. There's no question about it. Mindy, as a visual person, that is why she now has pretty boy Nolan, right? Is that how that works, Nolan? If she's visual, then that must mean you must be pretty boy Nolan.
Well, yeah, we met on a
Absolutely.
canoe trip, so, yeah.
So, Mindy, the interesting part, and Nolan, certainly talk about this as well, because you do watch all of this as Mindy's dazzling people with her knowledge of Medicare. But, Nolan, see if you think I'm right, because we'll let Mindy judge us a little bit here.
Yep.
So, what you were just talking about, Mindy, if we have some health issues, because when you sign up for it, there is no health requirements whatsoever. Everybody's allowed to get it. You sign up. So if you had signed up for Medicare Advantage, but you have a lot of health issues, and then you want to change it a year or two down the line to the Medicare Supplement world / Medigap world, that could be a problem because you now have to have the health doctor say, yes, you're good to go or whatever. But if you don't really have health issues, Medicare Advantage is cheaper. That would be that side of it. And if you do think you're going to have health issues, Medicare Supplements is better coverage maybe. But they're throwing so many things into the Medicare Advantage world, it seems to me. Are you buying what I just said there, Nolan? And then we'll let Mindy judge us.
Well, and that's why we say with healthcare changes every year on people, that's why it's so important to review on what should be done. And they're right. There are some specific rules that people don't realize that can come about, that you have to literally basically pass a health screening to get back into those types of plans. So it's one of those things that obviously Mindy will touch on because she knows way more in depth than I do on this. But the other key to this too, and I'll talk about, is that a lot of people don't realize that if you go on your own, you're the one that's going to have to be responsible for figuring out, was this covered or not covered. We take that off your hands from a customer service standpoint. You call us and we can tell you right away, nope, that should have been covered, or no, they didn't bill it correctly, it didn't go to the right place, or they coded it wrong. If you're on your own and you're not using an agent to do that, then you're the one that's going to have to figure that out. It doesn't cost you anything extra for us to help you walk through that and take that customer service off your hands, so that way you don't have to worry about being on the phone with Blue Cross Blue Shield or HAP or, Priority Health. So that's a big reason, in my opinion, to have somebody help you, so that way and we pride ourselves on making sure our clients have customer service that when we answer the phone, that if we don't know the answer, we're going to get it for you, type of thing. So that's a big deal to us. So Mindy, you can take over on answering some of those other questions that Mark had.
Well, I think it's important as you look all the way around encompassing. And if we simplify it some, we're either looking at paying higher dollar premiums to ensure that you have a very Cadillac-like coverage plan when we're talking about medical. But then you have to be okay that you're going to have your red, white, and blue Medicare card, which we do not want to have just Medicare, right? There's deductibles, the 20%, there's out-of-pocket cost, unlimited ceiling, and then you have no Part D prescription coverage. So we have to ensure the original Medicare. We have to look at timelines. It does take a bit to get it if you're not enrolling in it when you're already drawing Social Security. So we have to worry about timelines. We then take a look at, my goodness, as you're hearing all of the ads on TV and almost all the materials that come to you talk a lot about a Part C Advantage plan to try to give you extra benefits that folks feel they need in retirement that original Medicare does not cover. Those are, maybe you're traveling overseas, you need dental work. We talked a little bit about hearing aids. What about eyeglasses and eye exams? And maybe you have podiatry visits, or what if something's coming up for cosmetic care and nursing home care? So how are we helping to ensure that some of these things down the road can give you some benefits for coverages? So as we walk through that, I think it's so important that we know, gosh, that means if we're going to have all these added benefits, we might pay a little bit higher copay if we have a surgery. So we walk through what that actually looks like within having a surgery, having a copay, and then other things that we're looking as fillers of, gosh, what am I hearing about this flex card of getting groceries or buying my multivitamins and my vitamin D over the counter or at the local retail store. So we need to walk through so they understand their options in a nice cohesive way And being independent, I've done this for over 20 years. It's nice to walk through. Here's your options with local carriers, national carriers, current plans. And then sometimes you might even say, hey, I have a retiree benefit thing, I think. Let's look at those benefits together. Let's sit down in the office. We can do a comparison for you. Make sure that you are understanding the insurance lingo, timelines, and penalties. And just a side note that we've seen a lot in the last 2 weeks is as we're looking at a period of higher inflation we've talked about earlier, increased tax rates in the future, a lot of you have done a good job of contributing to a health savings account or an HSA plan while you're still working to get the tax benefits from that. That is an excellent way for benefits. However, we've seen some folks that did not realize that once you are on Medicare, you can no longer contribute to that HSA. So this is just about educating as well. And we encourage you, if you're going to be on Medicare starting, let's say January, then now is the time to stop a few months ahead of that timeline of your HSA contributions. So if any of this is you and you're thinking, wow, there's a maze, a puzzle, we're going to walk through it alongside of you. Reach out to us here at 877-222-8849 or schedule a visit right on wealthmichigan.com for us to walk through what actually is important for you.
So again, that number is 877-222-8849. No cost, no obligation. 877-222-8849. And you can always find out more about the team at McIntosh & Associates. That is wealthmichigan.com. Wealthmichigan.com. We're headed to our final segment. Nolan and I had a great idea for a topic. Mindy put the kibosh on that. So we'll see what Mindy's going to talk about when we come back. This is Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes.
To learn more about the team at McIntosh & Associates, check out their website anytime at wealthmichigan.com.
Welcome back to Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes, Mindy and Nolan. You can always go to the website to learn more about Nolan and Mindy and the team at McIntosh & Associates. The website, wealthmichigan.com, wealthmichigan.com. You have questions about where you are on your road to retirement, open enrollment for Medicare, all those moving parts. It's 877-222-8849, 877-222-8849. I'm Mark Ellie. Glad you're with us today. Mindy, where are you going to go in this final segment? We've been talking Medicare. I know there's a lot going on. We've talked inflation and interest rates, all kinds of things today. What are you going to wrap the show up with today?
Well, I think today, if we talk about the new Inflation Reduction Act, it has been a big ticket item of green energy spending, corporate taxes, and some pretty major changes to Medicare. So I feel like that's pretty fitting as, folks are coming in and people are saying, is this a big deal? I think it could be. And what I'll do is, we can kind of talk about some of this. And I think the most important thing that we'll focus on within that Inflation Reduction Act today is talking about the Medicare changes that I think you're going to want to know about and just some of these timelines. So as we talk about what happens next for Medicare and just kind of the implementation of the timeline for this Inflation Reduction Act, we're getting a lot of questions around this and a lot of buzz of families that are meeting in the office. So in 2023, there's a requirement for the drug companies to pay a rebate if some of the drug prices rise faster than inflation. Okay. So they're going to limit some, what would this mean? Limit some insulin copays to probably a $35 a month copay for your Part D on insulin. It will also reduce cost and improve coverage for some of the adult vaccines with Part D. Some of that might be the Shingrix shot and such of being covered differently on different plans and such. And then as we fast forward to 2024, how might that look? Well, 2024, if we talk about Medicare's coverage gap or the price of prescriptions, it will eliminate the 5% coinsurance for Part D catastrophic coverage. So it's trying to reduce the exposure to our families on their cost of medications, and it should expand eligibility for the low-income subsidy in Part D as well. Then moving into 2025, they're going to add about $2,000 of out-of-pocket caps for Part D prescriptions and other drug changes. Now, that's probably the biggest thing. As you take a look right now, copays for Part D, they are doing a cost share and meeting over $4,000 before the clients and families go into a gap right now. So that will make an influential impact on folks. And then as we talk about Medicare Part D growth, They want to make sure that it's not growing in cost by more than 6% a year. So from 2024 to 2030, they're going to try to limit the increased cost. And then after 2026, they're going to try to do implementations of negotiating prices for certain higher drug costs. So why does it matter? We've talked about inflation. We're in the Medicare season. We want to make sure that this prescription cost and inflation being high, we don't want it to outpace general inflation on thousands of medications. So we need to try to continue to strive to get lower prices that can lead to overall program savings and possibly even lower Medicare premiums to save money for you retirees. So it's so important for you to talk to us about this. Look at your Medicare Part D and your prescription drug spending, and how are we setting that to have a plan. We talk about this week after week, having a plan. So reach out to us on the web at wealthmichigan.com. Call us at the office at 877-222-8849. And most certainly, now is the time to come in for a visit and walk through some of these changes.
Yeah, the whole key really is to have a plan so that you have confidence, you have clarity moving forward in retirement. And you certainly want to feel good about the choices you make with Medicare, no question about it. 877-222-8849 is the number to chat with the team at McIntosh & Associates. They are here to help. They just don't know if they can until they hear from you. 877-222-8849.
Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, AEWM. AEWM and McIntosh & Associates Financial, LLC are not affiliated companies. Insurance products are offered through the insurance business McIntosh & Associates Financial, LLC. McIntosh & Associates Financial, LLC is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through AE Wealth Management, LLC, AEWM, a registered investment advisor. AEWM does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by McIntosh & Associates Financial, LLC are not subject to investment advisor requirements. AEWM and McIntosh & Associates Financial, LLC are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. McIntosh Associates Financial, LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by McIntosh Associates Financial, LLC. This radio show is a paid placement.